Earlier, so right.
We all set, Lauren?
I believe so.
Okay, it's 1 o'clock. I'm going to call the November 1st Board of Commissioner meeting to order. We will have the prayer from Commissioner Heberling and the pledge from Commissioner Ballard.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for the rain. We thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to meet here in our courthouse in a free country. We ask, Lord, as we make decisions today, we ask for your guidance and direction. We ask this in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty for all. Thank you, everyone. Lori, could you roll call, please?
District 1 Chairman John Black,
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Gary Heberlein,
Here.
District 3 Commissioner Bill Sartella, absent. District 4 Commissioner Roger Ballard,
Present.
District 5 Commissioner Bill Wyatt.
Present. Thank you. At this time, if there are no corrections or deletions to today's agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve. So support. We have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Wyatt. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to an approval of our meeting minutes from October 18th. There are no corrections or deletions. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve October 18th meeting minutes.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlein, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. You would get your correspondence in an email from Jody this morning. We'll move into commissioner reports and we will start with Commissioner Wyatt.
Well, we had a couple meetings, speaker in Fremont, basically talking about wind turbines, of course. Worth Township, interestingly enough, canceled their most recent meeting for a lack of agenda items, which was really unusual because usually it's a 5-hour meeting. So that was shocking. But interestingly enough, there was like 5 people in the parking lot kept pulling up to go to the meeting. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with that. Other than that, I got nothing.
Thank you, Joel. Roger?
I had a light week last week for a change. I had Elk Township and that was about it. Nothing really out of the ordinary there.
Okay. I have nothing to report. Gary?
I have a very little report. One thing that come up in one of my township meetings is they introduced going after a couple blight issues and one they're continuing to go after and it's working. And another one, the gentleman come back and want another extension. So they give him a 1-month extension. So we'll see what happens.
Thanks, Gary. At this time, I'll ask Nathan for his administrator report.
All right. Thank you, guys. A couple good community events attended since the last time we met. The Harvest Hop took place. I know Will Morris was here talking to you guys about that and talking to you guys about food vouchers for the event. I think the event was really positive. There was a lot of involvement from the community. The whole Diamond Trail had kind of scattered throughout. It had community organizations and people who were handing out things to kids. A lot of the kids were dressed in Halloween costumes walking the Diamond Trail. Very positive event. Seemed like everything I heard from people was very positive, and it sounded like the crowd grew from last year. So I think that's something that we'll continue to, and the weather was perfect for it too. It was a Friday night when temperatures, it was sunny and it was about 65 degrees right in there. It was a perfect night for the event. So they couldn't have asked for much better. The following day, they had the Back to Blue event at the Diamond Trail. That was another positive event. So there was 2 things that weekend that went very well, I think, for the community. Security trainings have taken place in the building. I've talked to you guys about this a couple of times. The trainings have now taken place. Refreshers, new trainings for new staff. Some really positive things have come about from that. I talked to staff in the department head meetings today. A lot of good discussion in regards to things that we could do from a building standpoint to further secure the building. As I talked to the group, obviously there's some things you can never prevent, but the more things you can put in place to secure the building, I think the better position we'll be in. The county master plan, they've had some visioning sessions throughout the county now. Those have been completed. We got some information, some of the things that have been talked about, some of the biggest concerns that people have expressed facing the county. Lack of quality cell service, concern over wind farms and solar farms. Those were two of the big things, or I guess three: wind farms and solar farms, if you put them into one category. But and cell phone service is still difficult for a lot of folks here within the county. Some of the highlights that were noted amongst the group: low crime, positive community events, and what I just talked about earlier, and a lot of friendly and kind people here. So I think there's definitely some positive things. In total, I think the events, there was 68 people who took part. So, and that's all I have.
Thanks, Nathan.
Yep.
Are there any questions for Nathan?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to public comments pertaining to today's agenda. Are there any public comments pertaining to the agenda today? Hearing none, we will move on. There are no appointments to standing committees, no county commissioner appointments to the boards or county chair appointments. There are no general resolutions. So we will move on to committee reports, and we will start with Commissioner Heberlin.
Okay. Tonight we have our Parks and Recreation, just to find out some. I attended, as you know, both you and I serve on the planning committee. Lisa Kenny has put together a steering committee over the next few weeks, and she's already had a couple meetings with the different areas. One was in Sandusky 2 weeks ago, and we had probably, I want to say 50, 60 people in attendance, and we went through different categories. What we're looking at, let me step back. What we're looking at is putting together a new master plan for our county. And I think it's going extremely well, but we brought together a group of people here in the Sandusky area, what they envision as things we should be offering here in our county, and some of the things that maybe we don't do so well. And I think it was a great meeting. Some very positive things come out of it. And so I think you're going to be happy when we finally get the master plan and it comes to the Board of Commissioners here. And one thing we do well is you've kind of alluded to it already, Nathan. We've got a friendly community. Some of the things we don't have housing that we should have, and we don't have the jobs we should have. And they go hand in hand. It's like the old verbiage: which comes first, the chicken or the egg? All right, so you've got to actually have both. So we're going to try to figure out a way how we can tie that together so we grow with jobs and with housing, because clearly if we want young people to come to our community, we want to have jobs, or at least work from home or communicate and you know, with a city job and still live and still have adequate housing here in the Satellite County area. So, and sometimes we just look at, because a lot of us meet here in Sandusky, we look at Sandusky, but if you go farther south, you get clear down to the St. Clair line. Those people actually live pretty close to the city to get on major fairways to get there. So it encompasses the whole community. That's all I have.
Thanks, Gary. So Vice Chairman Wyatt and myself are on the negotiation team this year. We are actively negotiating with the sheriff unions. That's moving forward nicely. And then also back to the point that Nathan made about the Harvest Hop event, Sherry Lancott reached out to me wanted me to thank the commissioners for our support for doing those food vouchers, because it made the event an even greater success than it had been in the past. So that's all I have. Roger.
We do have a county parks board meeting tonight. We are starting to see some movement on some of our projects. I'll tell you, COVID really set some things back. The bathhouse addition in Lexington is almost complete. Not quite ready for final inspection, but real close. At Forester, we did get approval or a plan for the DNR, from the DNR, for the playground equipment. Really expected to have that in place this summer, but like I said, they're so far backlog from COVID. So hopefully by the end of April, we'll have that complete at Forester. At Evergreen Park, our plan has been submitted, and our updates to our scoring have been submitted. We hope to hear on that in December and hopefully get approval on that grant and get accepted. Keep my fingers crossed. That's a big one. That's about a $700,000 project, which will really enhance that park and give a lot more activities for everybody, just not campers. In fact, there's nothing that's been added there that is strictly for camping. It's all extracurricular, I guess you could call it. So I'm hopeful to get that grant approved. And Delaware, we're still working on some preliminary plans to see what we're going to do and if we're going to do it up there. So we'll know more here in the next couple of months. That's it.
Thanks, Roger. Joel?
Gary and I met, you mentioned the personnel committee meeting.
No, I didn't.
We
Net up to
met
you.
today, personnel. Thank you, Gary. And so it was dealing with the DTF Director Jim Johnson and a contract to fill that position for the next 2 years. So we'll be forwarding that on to finance at the next meeting.
Has that been status quo, 2-year contracts for that
It is.
position?
Well, it is, other than the length of it. It's going to be only 2 years.
Anything further? Thank you, Joel. All right, that concludes committee reports. Seeing there's no unfinished business, we'll move directly into new business. We will start with FA 055-22. Award and authorized purchase of vehicles, Sheriff's Office.
I can't read as fast as Bill Sarkella, but I'll try. All right. The Santa Clara County Board of Commissioners hereby awards or authorize the Sheriff's Office to purchase 4 2022 Chevrolet Tahoes to be assigned to the Uniform Service Division from Berger Chevrolet of Grand Rapids at the cost not to exceed $225,988.00 for immediate approval with funding from the Sheriff's Vehicle and Line of Commissary Fund.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlein. Is there support? Support. We have support from Commissioner Ballard. Now discussion.
Nathan, the last sentence there was the cost of $225,988, and before it was $159 and then $153,600. Was those combined?
So if you look at the packet there, you'll see a letter from Ford and also an email that I got from our Ford dealership. Our order that was placed back in March has been canceled.
Yeah.
Along with all the other police agencies throughout Michigan and US. So there are new prices. They're $8,400 per vehicle. We would stick with a Ford, and we're probably looking at another 6 to 8 months, and we're already that much behind now. So Chevy, I went to the Sheriff's Professional Development Conference there. Chevy has some in stock, and we're looking at $2,000 more than what it would cost us to go with a 2023 Fords. So they have it in stock. That's
Per vehicle?
No, total. That's going with the new prices.
Sheriff's Professional Development.
Sheriff's Conference.
What's that about?
We go twice a year.
You said for professional development.
No, that I went to that conference and learned that these vehicles were available.
Oh, okay, that was for the purpose of, fine, okay.
Yes, so
Do you feel that these vehicles fit the needs of the Sheriff's Department?
absolutely. And they're in stock, and I can get them probably next week.
When was the last time you had a GM vehicle? Sorry, John.
We had them Palace probably back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
We used to have the Caprices. I wish they still made those darn things because they're the best cars that we ever got.
For what it's worth, I had to stop in a city hall in Marlette today, and Marlette has a Tahoe. And I asked Chief McGinnis how he felt about that vehicle, and he said he loved it. It's roomier. It's a better ride. They've had 0 problems with the vehicle.
We're gonna get into a pickle. Dodge is not making the Chargers anymore.
Right.
And the Durangos are done, and you can only order them as end of 2023. They're talking about going to a Grand Cherokee frame. So we're looking at Chevys and a Ford at this moment here. So
Are these Tahoes all-wheel drive or are they rear?
they're 4-wheel drive.
They're 4-wheel drive.
Yes.
Okay.
They are road ready. So
They come better equipped from Chevy than what the Ford
it's
is.
probably the same equipment, essentially, just different companies. Only thing we gotta do is put a radio on it and details at this point coming from there.
Oh,
They're ready to go. Yeah. I just gotta pop a radio in and put decals on the side.
Lighting's all done.
All lighting's all done. They had one down there that demo vehicle, and it's gonna be similar to the one that's here for you guys to see tomorrow. If you wanna see it.
well, doesn't that represent a?
Got 9 o'clock tomorrow, right, Lieutenant?
Yes.
You're gonna have it here. I don't know if you guys.
I saw that. Does that represent a savings from the Fords where you don't have to outfit them with all the
Well,
restraint stuff?
It's probably gonna be about the same price.
Yeah, in the
With
end,
inflation.
right, in the
It's
end.
probably gonna be a zero wash. We're getting a bigger vehicle.
But you end up with a V8 over a turbo V6.
Yeah, and those, but the Fords have been fine, honestly, but.
Yeah.
They've been,
So that raised a red flag. I'm glad you brought it up. So no more Durangos.
no more Durangos,
Yeah.
no more Chargers.
So we need to be looking at that down the road, right? Well, you do and let us know, I guess.
Yeah.
So
When you went to this conference, did they blather on about electric vehicles in the future?
I seen some material that Chevy has,
Yeah.
they're coming out with an electric vehicle, it's a Blazer
Yeah.
next year, but. Until there's more research and science on it, I don't think that's even practical for us, when we cover a lot of miles.
Yeah.
That's what's going on with Dodge or Chrysler or whatever they call it anymore, is they're starting to phase over to electric. You're not gonna be able to get a Hemi, I don't think, after next year.
What?
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Ah,
Do we need to bring a helmet for tomorrow?
No. No, the GM, I talked to the GM rep, he's lives in Lapeer, so he can bring one up if you guys are curious to see what the difference between the two are, so. So I'll be here.
You doing that right out here?
Yeah,
I'll be here for some other business, so.
so, but I got tags on the 4 of them over at Berger Chevrolet. I talked to the guy into putting a tag on them. If we can get it approved before the other sheriffs, because he was already getting calls.
Yeah.
So
But I heard on the radio that the Huron County Sheriff's Department got a bunch of Durangos.
they went with Durangos, they're running the same issue.
Okay.
So, yeah. They used to get Chevys solely. They want to tell us.
well, thank you for your homework and making sure this happens. Yeah.
I appreciate you being here to, work through this a little bit, because it's a little bit of a change from what
It
we
is a big thing.
anticipated.
Yeah,
So,
it's a lot more money too, so, which I about choked when I got the letter from Ford, so.
okay, are there any further questions for Nathan? Can't help yourself or?
well, he said I about choked when I got the letter about how much more it costs, like, well, you can thank voting for Democrats for that, so.
Well, there's that. Thank you again.
Yeah, no.
Is there any further discussion related to FA 055-22? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Hi,
Opposed, motion is carried.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, at this time, we'll move on to FA 162-22, authorization of payoff of jail debt bond.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorize the payoff of one of the jail debt bonds in the amount of $1,222,708.07 with funding from general fund.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Huberly, support from Commissioner Wyatt. Is there any discussion on the topic?
Yes, I'd also like to mention that our ARPA committee worked on this for quite some time. And I think it was a very positive thing for our county. And what it don't bring up here in this FA 162 is that we saved the county, I think, $394,000 in interest also.
Yep.
So,
Well, I
Go ahead.
too want to commend the ARPA board for considering paying off existing county debt with this, I don't want to say unexpected windfall, thanks to the graciousness of your tax-paying community through the federal government. But these ARPA funds, the American Rescue Plan Act funds, came to us to the tune of about $7.5 million.
7.9.
We were very slow at spending it, although we were called upon to spend it immediately. And you'll note that other counties in Michigan immediately gave themselves big money in their pockets. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars. That was completely legit for them to do so. And we were no way going to do that. That ARPA fund or the ARPA committee has been in meetings relentlessly trying to decide the best use for this significant amount of money to benefit the taxpayers. And I'm glad they circled back around to let's get rid of some debt so we can free up some cash to make changes that can be long lasting, like maintenance on buildings. We got a lot of infrastructure here that needs help on in terms of, carpet, for example, and furnaces and air conditionings and windows and roofs and all that stuff. And we would really like to make sure that the stuff we already have is well taken care of. I think that's a great job on your part, John. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nathan,
Thank you.
for your due diligence on this matter.
Very good. Any further discussion related to FA 162-22? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
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 Opposed, Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 163-22, approval of 2022 current claims.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a payment of current claims for 2002 identified in the accounts payable report dated October 26, 2022 for the general bank account in the amount of $130,118.77.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 164-22, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following budget amendments and establish the following accounts, and you can read that below.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there support?
Support.
We have support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 165-22, approval of employment contract for Joseph Allen, soil erosion and sedimentation.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following employment agreement between Sanilac County Joseph Allen Soil Erosion and Sediment Agent as further authorized the board chairman sign the necessary agreement.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Wyatt. Is there any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 166-22, approval of employment contract for James Matson, animal control.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following agreement for consulting services between Sanilac County and Jay Matson and further authorize the board chairman to sign the necessary document.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 167-22, authorization of Forester Park erosion project, Parks Commission.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners authorizes the Sanilac County Road Commission complete the second and final phase of the Forester Park erosion control project at the cost not to exceed $59,568.04 funding from the Parks millage.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Wyatt. Is there any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 168-22, approval of renewal of grant writer contract, Parks Commission.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves a grant writer 5-year recreation plan writer contract between Sanilac County and John Fraser, effective January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023, in the amount not to exceed $11,000 with funding from the Parks millage and further authorizes the board chairman to sign the necessary contract.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Moving on to FA 169-22, authorization of Evergreen Park soil boring, Parks Commission.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes G2 Consulting to provide and soil boring service at the cost not to exceed $5,462.50 for immediate approval with funding from the Parks millage.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 170-22, authorization to pay invoices, Recycling Center.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorize payments to CM Rubber Technologies in the amount not to exceed $2,036.25 and the amount not to exceed $19,743.70 to ERG Environment Services for funding from the recycling millage.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there support? Support from Commissioner Wyatt. Is there discussion?
Yes, I just want to relay that I am part of the recycle committee, and these bills come from the free dump day we had back a couple months ago, and we didn't have a grant because it was on my understanding we tried to get a grant later than what we should have, and so we already scheduled this, we went through it, so.
Money well spent to get all that hazardous waste out of the county, right?
Yep.
Any further discussion related to FA 170-22? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. At this time, we'll have general public comments. Are there any general public comments today?
Well, regarding what you just said, money well spent has just, honestly, there's no other way for a resident to get rid of stuff like that.
There's not.
No,
Even like I'm in an industry where we create waste oil and fluid and tires, even getting rid of tires has become cumbersome to the point that the dump will take them if you cut them in half.
Yeah.
So everybody's cutting them in half. It's
Yeah.
a huge extra amount of labor, but
Yeah.
you can't get anybody to take them.
no.
So.
Hmm.
Any further public comments today? Hearing none, there is no closed session, so there is no need for closed session minutes. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn today's meeting.
So moved.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Ballard, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are adjourned at 1:26. All right. Thank you, everyone.
We kind of messed up. Is there any way that we can?
Absolutely.
My name is Marilyn, I'm here to talk about the wind turbines. Just want to know, are you guys aware of the $1 million bribe to Speaker Township to allow wind turbines in the township?
No, we're not aware of $1 million bribe. No. We're aware of what you're referring to. We got your email, but I don't know if there was a bribe.
Well, that's what it is.
Well, I
My
appreciate
nephew
you
is
saying
a
that.
supervisor and he says, oh, we're getting a bunch of money. Said, we're gonna build a rec center and we're gonna maybe pay for people's garbage pickup. And I heard the same stuff coming from Fremont Township, but I asked them about the bribe and they wouldn't admit it. So, but there was one of the planning commission chairmen got up and told about it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of hard to compete with that. And my sister and I, we went door to door in 20 sections of Speaker Township and talked to people about the wind turbines. 99% of the people there did not know about them, and the same 99% did not want them. And I mean, I don't think we should have to do the jobs of the township boards to try to keep people safe, with the setbacks and all that, from having the wind turbines come in the area. The wind turbine companies, I've been going to meetings, some in Fremont, some in Speaker for the last 3 months. The turbine companies will not give any valid information. They won't give the safety specs on the turbines. And, they won't deal with the setbacks. The townships, they went and changed their ordinances to abide by the turbine company. Like, if you sign a contract with the windmill company, you're agreeing to 300-foot setbacks. And the township claims you're supposed to have 160% of the height of the wind turbine. So they're saying like about 1,000 plus 50 feet. So if your neighbor signs that, they're agreeing to 300-foot setbacks. And that's not safe for your neighbors to have, a 656-foot turbine. And anyways, the township board members, every time we go to the meetings, they're all afraid they're gonna get sued. They say, turbine company's gonna own us. I mean, I don't think they need to be afraid of something that, should protect the community. But they're all afraid of getting sued. And I think Brian Garner, the township attorney, is the biggest problem because I think that's what he keeps spewing at them. So, I mean, it's to the point we can't trust our township boards. I mean, we've been going to meetings, finding out information about half-mile setbacks for this tall a turbine, and it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot of difference, making much difference with them. And I mean, Mr. Wyatt, I have not seen you at any of the meetings I've been to, and you're saying you're
Well-
checking with Speaker in Fremont. Are these behind closed doors or?
No, I've absolutely been there, and I can tell you some of the things that you're saying are not entirely true. Of course, Liberty tried to make explanations, but they were shouted down a little bit, reasonably so, right? Because I don't believe anything they say anyhow. But the documentation is there as far as the safety standards and stuff. They've provided that, and your township board was elected by you
Mhm.
to represent the interests of the town, the township, and they've done so. But remember, it's incumbent upon the constituents to show up at meetings occasionally, not just in the last 3 months.
Well, that's when we.
I can tell you, I've been going to the Fremont Township Board meetings for the last 4 years. I don't ever remember seeing you there.
No, I just started going the last 3 months when I.
They have a
they-
billboard out
in my
front. They have a
backyard.
sign out front that
Yeah.
highlights what events are coming up and what are coming down. And I can remember when it was on that front, that sign indicating that they were going to be having a public hearing
Mhm.
on the commission's recommendation for a change in the ordinance. This was almost a year and a half ago.
Mhm.
Hardly anybody showed up.
Well, COVID was going on.
You might,
That doesn't-
I agree, you have a valid point, but I can tell you while COVID was going on, people were still driving by that street looking at that, and it was published in the paper of record as well. There, listen, that's the problem, right? We expect government to take care of everything, and then when they don't do it the way we think it should be done, we're all bent out of shape. Well, the responsibility lies with the individuals who make votes, who send their kids to school to make sure that things are being done right. And the only way you do that is if you show up and you take an interest more than just
I never
infrequently.
had any complaints before. I mean, they've done fine with our roads, spraying the stuff on the roads in the summertime. I've never had any complaints, so I have never had a reason to go and complain. I don't complain about my taxes. I vote for millages.
You can't wait until there's a reason to complain to become involved
Well,
and
that's
show
when I
up. That's
started
the
hearing about
problem.
what was happening.
And it's not you, Marilyn, and it's not me or anybody else. I mean, this is the way we are as a nation. We're relatively complacent until bad things happen, and then we're bent out of shape about
That's
it.
right.
I think you have a very strong representation of those who are upset with what's happening. The planning commission has gone through and appointed new members, and they're working to change those ordinances to reflect what seems to be a greater
Yeah.
percentage of township residents that
99%.
want to have that change. But truthfully, it looks like the township board followed all the required provisions. Could they have done more? Sure.
Right. Well, like I was reading in the Michigan State University gives a sample ordinance.
Mhm.
And it says in there, in order to bring something like this about, you need to demonstrate a need. And I mean, we have not been having brownouts or blackouts. Where's the demonstrated need?
Well, remember, this is your federal government that pushed for this green energy.
Right.
And this transmission line brought through the thumb, how many years ago was that, John? I don't know.
5 years ago.
Yeah, and also,
With-
the company that did that, they drilled down into the rock
Mhm.
and they did not fill the holes back up with bentonite or cement. They did not cap them property. I talked to Cambridge.
When they took the poles out, you mean?
No one was drilling for those to go in, and Cambridge, well driller was telling me that. So, and he said the health department was of no help at all. with
Yeah.
The problem, so, I mean, they could be ruining people's wells with those. So,
I don't know.
no.
I don't know, but I can assure you, I've been going to these meetings and paying attention. In fact,
In the last 3 months.
I don't look
I
at that.
did not look around.
Yeah,
We're technically between meetings, so I'm gonna leave it up
Yeah.
to, like, briefly.
Yeah, I won't bring, we're having, we're not just having trouble just about the windmills. We've had also trouble with ethical issues and the conflict of interest issues with one of our trustees that has been on the board forever. And, he's been making excessive visits, and I'm just gonna say excessive visits to Liberty's office in Pat. And he did that, on almost a daily basis until the other members of the board had to tell him, that's not a good look for you. He also visited my neighbors, they're in their 80s, to encourage them to have their daughter, who lives right next door to him, to sign with Liberty. And to sign a lease with Liberty, and then she doesn't want the windmills or transmission lines to her property. And I'll get to the point, and I'll be very brief. And I was also told by a local farmer that he had been contacted by Tom Murray and told that he needed to get in contact with Liberty right away and get signed up because another farmer had dropped out. Well, the reason being for this is that Tom Murray, on the property he owns on School Road, between School and Melvin, he would get probably in excess of 1,200 feet of transmission line. So, everybody knows he's conflicted. He knows he's conflicted. And they just, I'm conflicted.
I can appreciate your observations on what seem to be ethical improprieties. I totally get that. But as far as the board of commissioners of Sanilac County, we have nothing to do with that. That is Speaker Township's deal. It's Fremont Township's deals, Buell and Elk. It's the Liberty Wind Project and their townships, and they have the ruling in there, and they seem to have followed the proper procedure set out by statute for those ordinance changes and moving forward. You're talking about an ethical consideration, which you should very much take into consideration when it comes time to unelect those individuals, to not have them represent you. And then what do? Well, you gotta show up at township meetings. How long have I been saying that? Oh, I don't know, maybe 4 years. You gotta show up at your township board meetings to just keep an eye on things. Trust but verify.
I know where you're coming from. I mean, I know. We knew
Well-
they were coming and we just didn't think that farmers would be stupid enough to sign these contracts. I went to Liberty because of who I'm related to, that's on the board, where I live. They handed me a contract. I took that contract home. And I worked in law offices for 25 years. And I thought my head was gonna explode, what they did to these farmers. I just think it's horrible. I think that, you guys should be aware, our township let our people down. I mean,
Well, we
and
have
they
been
were
aware
lying.
completely. In fact, I've been giving reports on this for a year and a half.
Well over a year.
Yeah, because Tom Murray was the first one to sign with Liberty, and he's been the biggest pusher through all these,
And our zoning administrator, she was the second.
yeah, he was too.
There is a saying in the win game, and is you have to harvest the local
Yeah.
officials before you harvest them.
Yeah.
They did. And we-
Yeah.
We fools out of them.
Yeah. So thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Commissioner White, if you could share finance,
Okay.
that'd be fantastic.
We're gonna call to order the Finance and Administration Committee Board meeting for November 1st, starting now. So they got to right this second because Jody's not in
In
here.
the hallway.
All set.
Thank you. Thank you.
I can't believe she didn't walk in.
Yeah.
Hey, give me a gavel, man. Thanks, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. People have to attend.
Oh, yeah.
That's the biggest thing going on.